What made you overlook all of those things? What was the moment? Was it a conversation with moms? Was it them continuously looking to, because you would have to obviously change a lot because
Yeah.
you were hip hop. You had your middle of the mall chain on, like
Right.
we all bought at one
Right.
point at the cuts. And I knew
Yeah.
when you were telling that story, I knew where that was going. I said,
You knew
nah,
where I was going.
coach, coach ain't
And,
feeling that. But what made you say, you know what, I need something different for my life?
well, I think, because at that time, it wasn't a lot of conversation with my parents.
Mhm.
Basically, we weren't popping on the phone and talking to mom and dad. And you once you left that house, you were figuring out life. And so it wasn't anything. It was more so with my coach there. And
Mhm.
so when I came on my visit, I visited Arkansas first. Arkansas was trying to get me to visit doing the on the Saturday so I can see the game, see the pageantry of the field house being full of people playing
Right.
with an arena full, get that whole experience of that big arena. And but then I had scheduled to have Indiana on that weekend,
Right.
and I went to during the week. And I went to Arkansas, and that 48 hours was a long 48 hours on that visit, and I just didn't have that feel there. Nolan
Right.
Richardson as a coach had just gotten there, but I just didn't have that vibe. Then when I flew next to Indiana, and I got there, and coach brought me into the office and said, hey, we're recruiting another kid out of California,
Mhm.
Clemente. That's Dean Garrett. And I think we're going to get him here. We have a senior. We got a center. And then we have we need a guard who can complement Steve Alford in the backcourt.
Mhm.
And he said, we think you can fit that complementary role with him in the backcourt. And I said, well, who are the best players in the conference that I would be playing against? He said, well, one would be Steve Alford. He's your teammate.
Right.
And that the other two guys would be Dennis Hobson from Ohio State and Gary Grant from Michigan.
Oh. Mm.
And at that time, I was like, okay, well, I want. When he said those names, I didn't ask that question at Arkansas or at KU when I visited there, but I asked that question: who were the best two players in the conference? And then I started to read up a little bit about those guys and see what they had been doing in the Big Ten. And I think Nolan Richardson said something to me. Okay, you want to go to Indiana? You'll never play in the Big Ten. You're too small to play in the Big Ten.
Same thing I heard. Yep.
And I think that might have pushed me to do it. And but when I got there, and then coach took me onto the floor, and he came out of his office, walked on the floor, and he said, now, if you had come here, you have an opportunity to go to school, graduate, and play for a Big Ten championship. He said, every player that has played for me has a Big Ten championship.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, then if you're fortunate enough, we have an opportunity to play for a national championship.
Right.
And then I saw the banner swaying back and forth and everything. And I said, okay, this might be the place.
Right.
But game day, obviously, I go to the walkthrough, go to the walkthrough. Then we go to the team breakfast and see the guys eat. And I tell you, man, that breakfast between the pancakes, the hamburger patty, and the spaghetti, while I played, I still had that. I would still eat that stuff,
Really?
Yeah. And then when I saw that and saw how the guys were all coming together and how they were as teammates, and I just said, you know what, that was it. But then when I saw the game, when we got into that arena, man, got into Assembly Hall and saw the fans and everything, that sold it. And then Coach Knight drove me back to the airport. And he said, that's something he just doesn't do.
Right.
And he drove me back to the airport and said, hey, we really want you here. We would love to have you here playing and everything. And then when I got back to school, I had in my room, by that time, I'm looking at Indiana. So I had in my room 5 the letters up there hanging on a piece of thread from the ceiling, taped up to the ceiling.
Right.
And everyone falls first. That's where I'm going.
Really?
I said, that's where I'm going. And when I got back from my trip, those things were still up there. And but I just said, you know what? I think it's going to be Indiana. So I told my coach, and he called Indiana and told him that I was coming. And that's how it all worked out.
Did any of them try to tell you, hey, man, I wouldn't do it if I was you?
Oh, yeah. Everyone, all of those recruiting coaches, man, the tactics they had, like, you'll never play in that conference. You won't. I said, wait a minute now. If I can't play there, why are you recruiting me?
Right, exactly. Right.
So I just cut the noise out. And good thing at this time, it had to be a phone call to the coach's office. We didn't have phones in our rooms at that time.
Exactly, yeah.
I just didn't have a cell phone. So I couldn't be contacted unless it came through my coach's office. Then he would get to me, and then I have to go, and he just simply shut off a lot of that stuff anyway.
Right.
So that was all killed pretty quickly when I was there.